I think I got it all set up now. Okay, so if you did hear me there, make sure you go get the tab for this lesson. Go to TastyGuitar.com. If you are already a subscriber, you should have got an email about it last night, or depending on where you are in the world, you should have got an email with the tab for this live stream in there. If not, go grab the tab real quick, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to be basically doing this stuff over in the context of funk grooves, but you can also use this stuff in blues grooves. There are a lot of the same chord voicings. Okay, so first thing we're going to do here is going to talk about the chord voicings, the most common chord voicings you're going to come across in 6th and 9th chords in funk, but also in blues. Okay. So here is the first thing you will see in the tab, and these are the more common voicings. Okay, so we're going to be doing this all in the key of A, all right? And I'm looking at this from my 5th fret position there, kind of the home position of where you would play your, your blues box, your A power chord or your A bar chord right there. Okay, one of the most common voicings for a 6th chord would be this right here. And what we have is the root, your major 3rd, and the 6th. In the key of A, this is your F sharp. That's your 6th chord. Okay, so this is a very, very common way of playing the 6th chord voicing. And then the combination of the 9th chord kind of gives it that blues flavor because of the flat 7 in that 9 chord. So take that same shape down 2 frets, and now you're going to have a 9 chord. Flat 7 here, the 9, which is the B note in the key of A, and the E, the 5th up there. Right there, very, very common combination for a 6th and 9th chord. So I'm just going to kind of play over just a very simple loop here of kind of a shuffle feel at first, before we go into the funk stuff, just to show you that, these are common voicings to both blues and funk. This is a typical thing you would hear in like a blues rhythm. Right? Sixth and 9 chord right there. One of the most common voicings. Okay, next measure. Basically here, guys, we have the same chord. All we are doing is we are putting the low note there, the root that's on our D string, we're now replacing that with the note that is an octave above, right here. So instead of playing our root down there on the D string, we're going to keep these notes and replace that root there with the octave above up on the high E string, and what we have is this. That voicing, there's your A6 chord now, going down to an A9 right there. So same chords, 6 chord, 9 chord, 6 chord, and 9 chord, but a slightly different flavor. This one is a lot better for funk because we got the brightness of the high E string up in there. But I'm going to play over that same basic kind of shuffle groove for a second and just show you that, how we can kind of interchange, go between these voicings a little bit. Very common thing. Hear people sliding into them. Just combining it with a 9 chord up there at the 12th fret, an A9. So again, that is more of a kind of a shuffle feel, and like I said, we are going to get into more of a funk feel, but let's learn the voicings first. Okay, so these are the real common voicings right out of your bar chord, your E kind of bar chord shape position. So you definitely want to memorize these and also memorize where the roots are for all of these voicings so that you can move them to other keys later on. So again, in this voicing, root right here for the 6th chord. Right here, no root in this voicing. You're going to see your root right down there on the low E string. And here, root of the A6 chord right there. And again here, that A9 chord here, you're still picturing the root kind of here on your low E string. Okay, next, let's take a look at the next set of voicings. Okay, so right here, we're going to go up the neck a little bit. We were just here. Now we're going to take it up to the 10th fret. 10th fret, right here, 10th and 11th fret. The root now is on top. So basically this is the same voicing as this, same notes, we're just now on a lower set of strings. We're now playing on the D, G, and B string instead of the top 3 strings. And why would you do that? Well, because it's a different tone. Much more mellow tone there. And if you are finding yourself up the neck, so you're playing some chord voicings or a solo up here and you want to be able to get to those access those chords, you don't want to have to go all the way down there. Okay, so we got our 6th chord here. Now you can see the root here, but you can also see the root right there at the 12th fret on your A string. But we're not going to play that. We're going to leave that off and have this nice little chord fragment shape. Now fingering, you know, just it depends on where you're coming from and where you're going next. So I may do this with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers if I were going to go to this A9 chord next, just for ease of switching. But if I were going to go down here, I may use the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. So fingering, it just depends on where you're coming from, where you're going to go next, what's comfortable for you. All right, so there's our A6 chord right up here. There's our root. Again, go down 2 frets in the same shape. There's your 9 chord. A6, A9. So the cool thing about this is now you can go all the way down the neck using those 6 and 9 chords. A6, A9, A6, A9. So again, I'm going to jam over this a little bit. Again, this time I'm going to kind of just give a more of a funky or a little loop here. Let me just kind of loop something real quick. 6-9, 6-9. Nine. Of course, I could do them in opposite order. I could do something down here and then jump up there. Sound real nice with those slides. So it's all up to your imagination what you can do rhythmically with this stuff. So I hope you guys are getting all that. Before we move on to the next set of voicings, I'm going to kind of point out a couple things I did in there. Right down here in the original kind of, let me go back there in case you don't have the tab at home. All right. In the original voicings that we did at first here, down here, when I played the 6 and the 9 chord, that kind of thing that I did, grabbing the root where you heard a single note there, that's a really common thing in blues rhythm especially, but you can also do it in a more funk style rhythm. Sliding into the 6 chord, grab the root up there on the high E string, and then I went back to the 6 chord and then down to the 9 chord. Yeah, right, it does, Anthony, it is kind of like a, what Steely Dan tune is that? It's like, da, 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 da. I know the one you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it. I can't think of the name of it right now, but yeah. Anyways, that's a really nice sound. Slide into the 6 chord, grab the root by itself, back to the 6 and then to the 9. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with that. I'll jam with that again. You can also do that same kind of thing on the other voicings as well, although it's not going to be grabbing the root. So I could do this voicing set up here where we were a minute ago. I'll go back to that tab. So this one up at the 10th fret, that 6 and that 9 chord. This time I'm going to grab, still going to grab that single note on the high E string, but now that's the 3rd. That's the 3rd of the chord up there. And then that is the 2nd or the 9th of the 9 chord when we go down to the 9 chord. So we have something like that. Okay, so that reminds me of something else I kind of skipped over a little bit. Now, we can play these voicings as 4-note voicings. Okay, so take a look at the 3rd measure there. Here you will see the full voicing. Okay, so I'm kind of combining the voicing in the 1st measure and the voicing in the 2nd measure, and just playing it as a 4-note voicing. So of course you could strum that. You're just going to have a little bit fuller sounding voicing. You got the low stuff down there, plus you got this stuff on the top end. So a 4-note voicing for these sound really nice. Okay, now I'll go back to those other voicings, and it's the same thing. We had the top, we had the bottom, and now we have a 4-note voicing that we can play. So the stuff on the bottom end, stuff on the top end, and a 4-note voicing. Okay, and actually we skipped this one in the 2nd measure. Let's take a look at that one now. So up here at the 6 chord, the 9 chord, we did the same thing we did down below, replace the bottom note here with the note an octave above on the high E string, and just play it as a 3-note voicing, and you would have that. So we're looking at that second measure here on the tab that's on the screen right now. Okay? So here you may want to picture it as having your root right down there in the middle of the voicing, if that helps you remember it. Remember, kind of having a reference of where your root is always the best way to kind of get your bearings and know where you are, so you can take things to other keys later on. Really super important thing to do. Okay, so again, 6, 9. Take the octave up above from that bottom note. 6, 9. 4-note voicing. 6, 9. Another way of seeing this voicing, that 9 chord right there, is a whole step above your root on the high E string. So if you're playing in A, and we're playing in A here, here's your root on the high E string, right? Go up 2 frets, 1, 2, whole step, form that shape. That's a 9 chord. We're talking about a dominant 9 chord, you know, with the flat 7. You're gonna get that bluesy sound out of it. So that's another kind of little trick to find that 9 chord, is just remember, find your root on the high E, 2 frets up, there's your 9 chord. Okay, so now we're really covering some ground. You know, we got all this low stuff, we got all this stuff up the neck, but there's one more shape up the neck a little bit more, and that is the 14th fret to the 12th fret. Okay, so play your A9 chord right here, right? If you got your A9 right up there at the 12th fret, you take just the top 3 strings of that voicing, and you're gonna have, obviously, still a 9 chord. We don't have every note in the chord, but we got the bones of it. We got our flat 7, we got our 9, and we got our 5th on top. It's good enough to get, you know, the basics of the sound. If that's the 9 chord, the same shape, 2 frets up, is gonna be the 6 chord. So there we are, A6, seeing the root there on the A string. There's your 6 chord, there's your 9 chord, right? 6 to the 9. This is probably the one that is most familiar to most people in kind of a funk context. I mean, what is the most famous example of this would probably be just play that funky music, you know, in the key of E. Can't even remember how it goes. All right? Wow, that's a lot of reverb. So, E9, right? Top of that E9 chord. 6 chord right there. That's a good example of that in practice, and probably the most popular one out there. Anyways, we're doing it in the key of A, and it's the same thing. 9 chord, 2 frets above is your 6 chord. So now we've taken it all the way up the neck. Now there's another one here that actually I didn't put on the tab, but I'll go ahead and demonstrate it now, would be this voicing. So now we are taking a look at kind of the root still on that low, on that A string right there. Still on an A string. But we are kind of playing this shape, which kind of, you can see the A chord here. And then that is your 6th right there, the F sharp. So that's your 6, and that's your 9 down there. Again, root in the same spot, but now we're on the middle 3 strings, the D, G, and B string. So it's just kind of stacked on top. So there's your A6, your A9, A6, A9. Of course, you can play it as a 4-note voicing as well. And that's pretty much going to cover the neck. So I'm just going to jam a little bit here, and, you know, jam along at home. Just kind of put together just a simple, you know, one chord or simple bass line. I just got a little A thing going on here. Something very simple. And try to combine some of these voicings, you know. Start with just the 6/9 in that first position. I'll put the chord voicings back up there. And rhythmically, just play what you feel, try to make it funky. I'm playing finger style right now, but you can certainly do this stuff with a pick and kind of come up with some simple 16th note rhythm patterns that you can repeat. And then go through the voicings. So let's start kind of down here, then we'll work our way up the neck. Play the top 3 here. Second measure in the tab on the screen. Four-note voicing. So that's third measure on the tab on the screen right now. There I did the stuff on the top, then went to the middle. Up the neck, 10th fret. I'll go ahead and put that tab back up on the screen here. So we're taking a look at that first measure that's on the screen right now. 6 to the 9. Make sure you know which is which. Know where your root is. Root right here on the B string. That's your A note. The 10th fret. Going up to the top 3 strings. Four-note voicing now. A slightly bigger sound. Up the neck. Top of our A6 and A9. Next one here, this is not on the screen. A6 to the A9. All right, so we've pretty much covered the neck now with those voicings. Okay, so you definitely want to memorize those, memorize where the roots are in all of those voicings so you can get your way around and move into different keys. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about here And you guys can, you know, shout out some questions. I'm watching the chat. If you got anything, I don't see anything yet, but I appreciate y'all being here. Hey, Dave. And I recognize some names in there. It's good to see you guys. Next thing we're going to talk about here is using chromaticism with these voicings. A really, really common thing. I did a little bit of it earlier in that Play That Funky Music. That was a little piece of chromaticism. Basically, you can do this between all of these different voicings, between all of the 6 and 9 chord voicings. Anytime you really have a shape which is the same, you can use the one in between in passing. Okay, this is done a lot, especially with this stuff. So a good example would be that A6 down here, the one we started on. We're looking at the first measure on the tab. Moving chromatically down to that A9 chord. Here's your 6 and your 9. The one in the middle you can use in passing. Now you probably are not going to sit on that voicing for any length of time. It's just going to be in passing, you know. Get off it as soon as you can. If you stay on it too long, it'll end up sounding kind of, you know, a little bit like a wrong chord. But as long as it's just in passing, it's going to sound good. So, same kind of thing. Okay, and again, the rhythms that I'm playing are just totally just kind of, you know, on the fly. You can play your own rhythms or copy what I'm doing. All 16th note bass. Can do the same stuff, taking the voicing on the top 3 strings there. A lot of times you'll see me sliding into that 6 chord. I'm usually doing that from just a fret below. Okay, up the neck, the same thing here. Alright, so there's a little bit of chromaticism using this stuff. So experiment with that a little bit, come up with your own rhythms, but just know that you can always use the one in the middle chromatically. Okay, just don't stay on it too long or it'll end up sounding a little bit like a wrong chord. Okay, anybody got any questions so far? Hey Reggie, how you doing, man? Anybody, any questions? Okay, well, I'll wait, okay? And while we're waiting, I'm gonna just let you in on some good stuff here. The membership at Tasty Guitar, y'all. Okay, you know I had to put a little commercial in here. I do offer membership on my website where you can get interactive tab, incredible Soundslice stuff with looping, backing tracks, a bunch of exclusive content that you can't find on YouTube. Also, you can submit videos on every lesson on the website and get feedback on your playing directly from me on any of the over 600 lessons on the website. That's a great, great feature that you can't get on YouTube. And you also get access to all my ebook content. It's a ton of stuff there. Lots of licks, a lot of vocabulary for R&B fills. And right now I'm offering 25% off with coupon code TG25OFF. Get that on the memberships. It's a great deal, guys. All right, got my commercial in. Let's go back to work. Okay, so one little thing I wanted to point out here in using this stuff is you probably noticed that I will combine this stuff with a lot of standard dominant chords like 7th chords or 9th chords or even 13th chords. That's because we want that bluesy flavor. I'm going to be using this stuff to get kind of that dominant 7th kind of vibe, that dominant 7th sound. But the 6th chord by itself isn't going to get you that sound. The 9th chord will, but also 7th chords, 13th chords, okay, are great things to combine with these 6th and 9th chords. So, some of the voicings that I use, I just always look for things in the vicinity of where I'm playing. So if I'm playing my 6th and 9th chord combo down here, I want to look at, okay, what options do I have for other dominant chords that I can combine and go to. So here I have the full 9 chord. I have this A9 chord. I have this A9 chord. I have this 13 chord, that 13 chord, that 13 chord. I got dominant 7 chords. It's an A7 there. That dominant 7 chord and the A7 chord there. This dominant 7 chord here. So just in this area, kind of in the kind of 2nd to 9th fret, okay, I have a lot of different A dominant chord voicings, and I always want to see what I can combine with this 6/9 chord sound. Okay, so I did a lot of things like all right, that's just the 6/9 going up to that 7th chord right there. And I did it chromatically. I put a little chromatic movement in there. That's all that is. Again, 6/9, 7th. Different 7th chord. Kind of creates a little melody. If I find myself up the neck a little bit, again, in this position, I want to look for other dominant chords that I can find up here. So here's our 6/9 chord stuff we did here. Well, I still have this, but I want to look for something else. Well, I got my A7 right here, based off of this shape. And you'll notice that I'm getting rid of the root on pretty much everything. So it's not necessary for me to cover the root if I already got a bass player. So there's my A7 without the root right there. I could play this voicing of that. I could play this voicing of the A, which is just the root of A, the flat 7, and the 5th. These are both good sounding dominant chord voicings that are really going to give me that bluesy flavor. And I can combine them with that 6/9 movement here or here. So let's see what we could do there. That's just that 7th chord, followed by the 6/9. That's the 7th chord here, 6, 9, 7 chord there. Change up my tone a little bit here to more of a funk tone. 1. All right, if I continue up the neck, I'm gonna have other 7th, 9th chords, other 13th chords that I can draw from here. Again, my 6/9 is here, right there. I have a dominant 7 chord here. Dominant 7, right out of that A bar chord. Pretty easy to see that. Just dropping the root. I could do that. I could take the top 3 notes of that same chord and draw from that. Combine that with the 6/9 if I wanted to. So it's pretty basic stuff. If you know the chord voicings, everywhere you go on the neck, you have to know where your dominant chords are that you can combine with this 6/9 thing. Okay, that one right there that I did is just right out of that A7 chord. Hit it, did a little slide down, slide back, put the 6 and 9 chord combination on at the end. You can also find this kind of stuff, something very similar in another video on my channel called sidestepping. That's what we talk about, a lot of these little chromatic movements, little half-step chromatic movements. I cover that a lot in a lesson called sidestepping, so make sure you check that one out. There I have the little 7th chord there, and then went to the chromatic 6 and 9 chord at the top. I'm going to take a couple questions here. Any chord subs with 6 and 9 chords? Any chord subs? Well, I think we were just any chord subs. I'm not exactly understanding your question, Danny. Any chord subs for the 6 and 9 chords? Well, basically, we can just extend, you know, the 9th chord to a 13 chord if you want to, or you can, you know, interchange with all of these other kind of dominant chords, your 7th as well. And Shalom, Blake, break down that last strum pattern. I think you're talking about the one that I did previously, and I've already forgotten what that was. Sorry, man. Okay. J Love Jams. When you say more of a funk tone, were you implying the Telecaster back pickup or middle pickup? Actually, you know, I haven't changed the pickup at all. I'm playing everything so far in my position 4 here. that's usually where I will play kind of funk kind of stuff, you know. Position 4, so not all the way to the neck, one back, but this is a 5-way. This is a, you know, a Nashville telly, so I got a 5-way switch in here. If you have a standard telly, you could play really in the neck or the middle position to get kind of a, probably in the middle position to get a tone similar to what I'm going to get. But it's not going to be as spanky as this. That's why I got this great guitar from Mr. Russell Fong. Russell, are you watching? Maybe not. But anyways, if you've seen a lot of my previous videos, you know I had the ESP for a long time, and that's a great guitar on most of my videos, but I just couldn't get that real spanky kind of funk tone that I was, you know, craving for, so I had to get something that could kind of combine a Strat and a telly sound, and this is a really great sounding guitar with a 5-way. Okay, a lot of upstrokes on, no lots of upstrokes on the op ends. Which one is one of the cool 7 chords? Okay, thanks, Danny. No lots of upstrokes on the off beats. I'm not understanding if that's a question, Shalom. Anyways, guys, now I'm going to get into the 3 examples, okay? The 3 examples of funk rhythms that I kind of put together for this. All right, so if you do have the tab, scroll down the page a little bit, and if you don't have the tab for this, the download of this yet, make sure you do go and grab that here. Hold on a second, I'll give you that again. Make sure you do go and grab it at TastyGuitar.com. Go to the home page, subscribe for free at the bottom of the home page, and you can get the complete tab collection for all my lessons on YouTube. I think there's probably 140 tabs in there, completely free. Just subscribe at the bottom of the home page. You'll get an email with a link to download this. It'll take you a couple minutes, and this lesson is in there. So it's called the 6th and 9th chord combo for funk rhythm, I think, in the tab collection. So go ahead and grab that if you want to download it. Otherwise, you can follow along right here. Let's go back to example 1. All right, so right here we are going to combine some of the 6/9 chord voicings with other elements. Now, you know, in funk rhythm you can have a lot of different kind of, you know, what I call elements of funk rhythm. Now, this could be several things. We could be single note, muted kind of single note, funky little single note stuff. Chords, you could have intervals like thirds or fourths, or little sidestepping kind of things just on intervals. So I'm going to kind of combine a lot of these different funk rhythm elements in 3 different examples for you. So the first one, let's take a look at here, and you can see that we are combining in the first measure just plain single note muted kind of funk picking. So I'm going to go ahead and play this first measure. All right, this is the first measure. The X's on the tab, I'm sure you know that those mean dead notes, right? So those are dead notes there. Let me align this up a little bit better, guys. Starting with a couple dead notes there on the G string. Also, it's really important, at least in my opinion, to keep always an alternate picking motion, even on the rests. Okay, this is especially important if you have timing issues. This is going to keep you locked in the pocket. So even if you see a rest on the tab there, I am moving my hand. I'm never going to stop completely. In the second beat there, you see that we stay on the A, go down to the E, go up to the F sharp. Going to add the third beat now. Added the fourth beat. A little bit quicker. Again, we're just on the first measure so far. into the second measure, I'm going to slide up to the 5th fret there, actually sliding up to the 6th fret from the 5th fret. I'm going to do that with my second finger. Then going down to the root, the A note there, down to the G note, the flat 7 of the chord. So far we would have this. And again, I'm muting with my right hand. I'm muting with my picking hand. But don't mute it so much where you're going to choke off the notes completely. I'm just kind of applying very, very light pressure down here at the bridge. You can see it right there. Okay, then going to have a rest on beat 2 of the second measure. And then we are going to put our 6th and 9 chord combination here, sliding up into that 6th chord, down to the 9th chord. Okay, now it's important to mention here that the timing of this 9th chord that you're sliding from is getting the time of a full 16th note. So this is like 3E and right? 3E and And I would keep my hand in motion, so I would have slide, miss, down, up. 16th note rest, and then you're back down on that 9th chord. So all together, this is the rhythm. A little faster. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play it with the backing track now. And just so you know, the backing track is available in the membership website. Here we go. Alright guys, so that is the first example. So as in any lick that you learn or any of the stuff on my lessons, you know, make sure that you break the stuff down really slowly at first, beat by beat if necessary, to make sure everything is in the right spot, and then play it with a metronome. You know, put everything back together slowly, beat by beat, like I said, if necessary, and then play it with a metronome starting as, you know, at the slowest tempo that you can play it cleanly, or actually the fastest tempo you can play it cleanly, and then gradually work up in increments usually of about 5 BPM until you can play that at the speed of the backing track, and this backing track is at 100 BPM. So I suggest picking this apart, beat by beat, put it back together slowly with a metronome, probably starting at about 60 BPM, and then work your way up to 100 BPM to be able to play it cleanly, and you can go beyond 100 BPM if you like. All right, any questions about example 1 there? Anybody? Pleck angle, tilted. Fecanal. I think you're asking about the angle of my pick. Well, it varies a lot depending on what I'm playing. Most of the picking stuff, I'm angled slightly downward. I don't know if you can get a good shot of that. Not too down, probably just about, I would say, I don't know, maybe 5 degrees in a downward direction. Okay. For the strumming stuff, it really varies greatly, depending on what I'm doing. Stuff like this, I tend to, yes, angle it downward, probably more so on the strums. And if I am playing, well, we're going to play another rhythm here in a second, which is using some single note skank stuff. And in that case, I really kind of come at those notes from this direction all the way out here sometimes to really get a focused sound. So in that case, it's something completely different, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, usually I will have a kind of a downward angle on pretty much everything. Okay, let's get to this second rhythm here. See if I can remember what this one sounds like. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, this one. All right, number 2, we are starting on a root down there on the low E string. And this is kind of skank, meaning I'm going to hit that note, but it's not picked. It's not picked. I am aiming for that note, but I'm probably going to hit the A and the D string as well, but they got to be muted. Get rid of some of that reverb there. Okay. So, you know, the muting on everything is a little bit beyond the scope of this lesson. But make sure that your index finger is kind of laid down on the top, not applying any pressure on anything, but not letting anything get through either. Okay, we have 2 16th notes. That is 1 and, both downstrokes. On beat 2, couple scratches. Right on beat 2. 1 and, 2 and, right? Down, up, 16th notes. We are then going to go to that 5th fret on the D string by itself, but again, it's skank, so I'm aiming for that, but I'm also hitting the strings above. I'm probably hitting the B, the B, the G, and possibly the high E. So you have to make sure everything else is muted. And here's what I was talking about a minute ago. On this kind of skank stuff, I really want to be coming at it from this angle because I don't need the low E and the A. It's just going to muddy stuff up. You know, I can't approach it from straight ahead like this. But then you got to mute, you know, the A string and the low E, and you got to be really good at that, you know, or it's going to ring through, or it's going to get possibly a note that you didn't want to sound. So if at all possible, I try to, on that kind of skank stuff, come at it from an angle and really focus on trying to nail that string that the note is on, but then still getting the skank above it, you know, still getting the dead notes above it. So that may be something that you're not used to. This is something that is not everybody does. Okay, that is the first couple beats in this rhythm. Then you are going to go up and play the 6th, 9th chord combination off of beat 3. So this is a couple scratches right there on beat 3. 1 and 2, 3. Again, 1. Then I'm going to slide in. Let me give a little reverb here. Going to slide in to that A6 chord. Give it a little bit of vibrato. Going to hold on to that until midway through beat 4, and they're going to go back to the 9 chord, the A9. So same shape, down 2 frets. And that would be coming on a downstroke. Keep the hand in motion. Again, real slow. Okay, moving into the second measure now. Gonna go back up to that A6 chord, down to the 9 chord, so that's 1 E and up. Down, down, up. Again. Okay, after that, we're going to hit a couple more scratches on beat 2 of the second measure, followed by the root again. Again. And again, guys, you're going to probably have to pick this stuff apart, you know, beat by beat if necessary, to make sure that you're getting everything in the right spot. So. At the end there on beat 3, a couple more scratches. Slide up from the A flat 9 chord to the A9 chord. And then a rest on beat 4. So all together we have this. Real slow. All right, now I'll go ahead and play that with that same backing track in A. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I hope y'all are getting that. Everybody still there? Y'all awfully quiet. What's your preferred tonal setting for this lick? Lipscomb 8 wants to know. Actually, I would probably play a little bit cleaner than the current tone I'm on most of the time when I'm playing funk stuff. But I'd probably play it something more along the lines of a little bit cleaner like that. All right, guys, we got one more lick here. So we're moving on to example number 3 if you're following on the tab. What is the voicing for A6 M8? What does that mean, M8? I'm not following you there. What is the voicing? Oh, measure 8. The voicing for, let me go back and see what you're talking about. If I can follow along here. Sorry, man, not following what you're talking about. If you're talking about the one that was not on the tab, it was this right here, 12th fret and 14th fret. 12th fret on the G and B strings, 14th fret on the D string. Thinking of your root there of A. The 6th, the root, and the major third. Going down 2 frets to the 9th chord, where you have your 5th, your flat 7, and your 9. If that's what you were talking about, then that is the voicing. Okay, now we're moving on to example number 3, guys. And here, basically same kind of stuff, but we are putting a little bit of sidestepping thing in here. You'll see with the slide there in the last beat of the first measure. And we are kind of combining a 9th chord up here and the 6 and 9 chord voicings kind of going down the neck a little bit. So let's put this one together beat by beat and just remind myself what this sounds like. Any other questions? Keep them coming, guys. All right. All right, so this one, again, starting right on beat 1, 2 downstrokes. Right there. 1 and. Keep your hand moving in 16th notes. 1 E and A. Again, I'm really aiming for that D string. Muting everything else above it. And it is a little bit difficult to keep clean. You got to make sure that you have that A string muted just in case. And I'm doing that mostly with the tip of my index finger there if I'm playing that note at the 5th fret. If I'm playing the note at the 7th fret, that's also going to do the muting. I mean, it's really whatever finger is being fretted is going to help with the muting on the string below it. So muting, always keeping a constant contact with the low E there on the bottom of it. And making contact with the bottom of the A with the 3rd finger when I go to that A note there. All right, so 1 and scratch, scratch on beat 2. Going to your A note, the root down there at the 5th fret on the E string. So far, that's the first couple of beats. 1 and 2. Couple more scratches on beat 3. Okay, on that, looks like the 3rd, 16th note of beat 3, we're going to move up to this right here. Now this is, again, I talked about this a little bit earlier, what I call sidestepping, and I did a lesson on this. You can find it on my YouTube channel. This is a very common thing in funk rhythm. Little half-step movements. Now I'm starting a half step below where the actual interval is in my A dominant chord. These 2 notes that I'm moving to are basically just right out of an A9 chord. Now this sidestepping thing is basically we're just, you know, pulling out a couple notes from any dominant chord voicing. So this is basically just something in passing to this. Okay, so the first 3 beats will be okay, then on beat 4, we're going to go up to those 2 notes out of that A9 chord, slide it back down a half step, and then come back. There's that little side step thing. So that is the first measure altogether. So, and again, with that side stepping stuff, you got to get real clean on that as well. I'm muting the A string, muting the B and the high E with the bottom of my index finger there. Muting the A with the tip of my index finger also. First measure. Right after that, we're going to go to the top of our A9 chord. So you see that 12th fret, I'm just barring my 3rd finger. It's just the top of the A9. Couple scratches. Then we're going to go down to this A6 chord on the upstroke. Couple more scratches, then down to this A9 chord. Same shape. Again. One more time. Okay, on beat 4, I'm going to go ahead and hit this little shape right here. A couple notes at the 8th fret. That's my G note and my C note, my flat 7 and my flat 3rd. Now you might think, okay, well, I'm playing a dominant chord groove. How can I put a flat 3rd in there? Well, it just blueses it up a little bit. As long as I get off that and just, you know, hit it briefly, it's just going to give you a little bit of a blues flavor, and we can completely put that in there. Okay, so the entire rhythm is this. A little slower. All right, now I'll go ahead and play that with the backing track. Again, guys, don't think that you're gonna just nail this stuff right away. Put it together beat by beat, break it down very slowly with a metronome, gradually building up your tempo. Don't try to play it quickly if it's a mess. Slow it down with a metronome. Here's with the backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. guys, so that's measure, or actually exercise number 3. Now, from here on out, I'm just gonna jam a little bit, right? Just gonna jam a little bit, and I'm gonna try to use everything that I've showed you so far. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. If you did, there is a super chat function where you can show your appreciation. I would appreciate that. And I'm just gonna jam a little bit. I'll throw the kitchen sink at you. Kind of a mix of everything. I'll try to throw in all those voicings. 1, 2, 3. Again, just a 6/9 skank. Seventh. Throw in the root. Top 3 strings. All right, we ran out of track there. Anyways, guys, that was just a little jam, kind of showing you some of the uses of the voicings. So make sure that you do memorize all those shapes, and most importantly, know where the roots are so that you can move them around to different keys and you can use them in your own plan. And when you do start to try to put together stuff, make sure that you know other voicings for other chords in the same area. So like, you know, when you're playing that 6 and 9 chord stuff down here, look for other dominant chords, you know, your 7th chord, your 13 chords, your other voicings for ninth chords so that you can combine things and have places to go. Okay, so anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I am putting out another lesson in, I believe, Friday, and we're talking about kind of getting over sloppy playing as far as on funk rhythm stuff. So some of the techniques that I use for playing cleanly, and some exercises that I will be putting you through to help you do that. Okay, so one more thing before I leave you, I just want to mention that I do have an amazing membership website that you should please check out. Everything that I have, all my content in Soundslice interactive tab, great lessons in funk, R&B, soul, and blues, rhythm guitar. You can submit videos of your playing on every lesson on the website and get feedback from me within 72 hours. That's a great feature to know if you're doing things correctly. Can't get that on YouTube. And you also get access to all my ebooks, a ton of stuff there. Everything comes with backing tracks, and you pretty much got all the tools you need. And great coupon right now I'm running is TG25 off. That'll get you 25% off all the memberships. So basically, you know, as cheap as $12.50 a month, you can have the membership. Guys, thanks so much. I really appreciate you showing up, and I hope you learn from this. I will probably edit the video later and put it on the website. It's for you to check out and slow things down and learn it. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Oh, sorry, I'm going to answer a couple questions. I didn't see your guys' questions. Hold on a second. The pickups, Lago B. Yeah, these are Gatton. These are, what are they called? Joe Barden pickups. These are the Barden Danny Gatton Nashville Tele set. All right, thanks guys. Yeah, Web for Panama, yeah. And I do introduce this guitar and talk about its construction with the luthier Russell, who's also a student of mine, and he's a really great guy, makes incredible guitars. So check him out at Russell Fong. His name is Russell Fong, and he builds handmade guitars in California, USA, and he does a great job of it. And he probably builds you one too if you like. Let's see here. Is 6 and 13 chord, 6 and 13 notes are the same? Not quite. A 6 chord does not have the flat 7th in there. That's the main difference. A 13 chord is also going to include your flat 7. It's basically extension of a dominant 7 chord. Is going to include the 9th as well, and the 13th, which is the same as the 6. But 6 chord, not going to have that flat 7 note or the 9th. Okay, I'll look for 13. Yep, he answered it. All right, guys, and thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. Yes, I'll have it up here in a couple days. I'll edit this and get it up here. I don't find your name and credits of top artist celebrity plan. All right, appreciate that, man. I did play on some stuff recently. I don't know when that's gonna come out, but we'll see. All right, guys, take care. See you next time. Bye bye.